All those who study and research Feng Shui know that Feng Shui master Quach Phac is one of the great masters of Feng Shui. He left behind Feng Shui masterpieces such as Tang Thursday, See Graves, and Thuat Physiognomy, Seeing the World of the Earth, so he was revered as Tai Tu, the father of geography. Quach Phac is not only above the astronomical information, below the geographical wall. Quach Phac is also the only person in the history of Chinese Feng Shui who accurately predicted his death date. Quach Phac, 276 to 324 AD, was a literary scholar in Hu Jia, commentary of the classics, of the Eastern Jin Dynasty. His name is Canh Thuan. He lives in Van Hai, Hadong, now part of Son Tay. He is ranked at the top specializing in classical literature, Tu Fu. He also has many studies on Yin and Yang mathematical 5 elements as well as Bodi Dich Sutra. He annotated many important classics such as Chu Dich, Sun Hai Kinh. Quach Phac is respected by posterity as the founder of Khai son of Feng Shui, and when discussing Feng Shui, it is impossible not to mention Quach Phac. In the book Tang Thursday, it is said about him as follows: Prac specializes in studying sutras, is profound and highly talented, good at ancient texts, has a deep understanding of the algorithm of Yin and Yang and the 5 elements, deep understanding excellent in fortune-telling Yi and the 5 elements. Turning disasters away from disasters, extremely effective. Legend has it that he was the one who wrote the Book of Burial and was the first person to mention the 2 words Feng Shui. The scriptures write, I admit Phong according to legend, Wenzhou Citadel, which still exists today, is attributed to Guo Guo. Phac took advantage of the natural terrain and used mountains arranged in the shape of the North Star to construct it. The book, Burial Book, or also known as Burial Sutra, separates Feng Shui from traditional geomancy, explains in detail the meaning of the 2 words Feng Shui as well as discusses in detail the theory and practice of Feng Shui. Quach Phac's book, Burial Sutra, is the foundation for the later development of Feng Shui. Therefore, Chinese people have long called Quach Phac the founder of Feng Shui. Feng Shui studies by Quach Thuan Tien Sin is not just a simple academic subject, moreover, it is truly a human philosophy about filial piety, of people. That's why famous tombs in the world are all located in that place. They are all created by true dragons, hundreds of miles away. Or more than 10 miles away, forming a point. At that point, the point is a mountain surrounded by protective rings and water. Flowing light and cocoon nourishment, layer upon layer, sand and water gather, relying on each other. The formation of an acupuncture point must be due to the essence of rivers and mountains condensing and merging. To get that essence of heaven and earth, take the remains of your parents and bury them in that place, entrust the future of your children and grandchildren there, so it is also the place to deposit your mind. That deposit of your mind should have sympathy and create happiness for posterity. It is the heart of a person with wisdom connects with Qi. And Qi connects with heaven, taking the spirit of the human mind to connect with the spirit of earth, heaven and universe, descending into the divine desire too, which unites the source of life. Therefore, Tung's son appeared. 2 great ministers, Ni Cao Mountain gave birth to Confucius. It's not a coincidence. It's not like burying bones, it's burying that man's heart. Legends about Feng Shui master Quach Phac. The story goes that when everyone planned to stay on the north bank of the river to build a new citadel, they invited Quach Phac to point out the land. He took a boat to the north bank to see the land and found at the land there was too light to build a citadel. Just past this side of the river, climbed the mountains in the northwest, saw the mountains forming a chain like the North Star. Hoa Kai's son locked the border gate, immediately told everyone, if we build the citadel just outside the mountain, Fu Kui can be gathered, but I am afraid there will be many disasters of war. If we build the citadel in the mountain, we can maintain long-term peace. Therefore, everyone agreed to build Wenzhou Citadel. Leaning against the mountain. The mountain that Quach Phac climbed to observe from is called Quach Tsong's Sun, to mark the achievements of a great master of Feng Shui. In feudal China, grave robbers were extremely despised by people, especially kings. However, Feng Shui masters are different. To the emperors, Feng Shui masters were considered living saints, able to know the past and predict the future. At that time, people believed that whether or not an emperor's country could last for 1,000 generations depended not only on his talent and power but also on whether he could capture a very beautiful dragon grave. About Feng Shui or not? Finding dragon acupuncture points is not an easy task at all. Normal people cannot do it. Feng Shui masters were born to solve these problems. Therefore, before and after they always had the truly important positions of emperors. The book Tai Bin Quang Khai records about Quach that Quach is a learned person, knows all astronomy, geography, divination books, translation to Feng Shui, knows about ghosts and gods, no profession is not good. In this book, Quach Phac is described as a half-god, half-human, half-yin, half-yang, who not only knows everything in the world but also knows about the underworld. Not only in history books, in folklore, there are also many stories related to Quach Phac's supernatural abilities. The records, which were already tinged with myth, are now once again accreted by folk legends, making Quach Phac even more ecstatic. When Quach Phac was not yet famous, Quach's mother passed away, and Quach chose a very ordinary piece of land to bury his mother. This land is located very close to a water source, so every time it rains, the tomb is submerged in water. At that time, the Feng Shui masters all said that the Feng Shui of the land that Quach chose was too bad. However, Quach Phac did not pay attention and continued to persist in his opinion. It's very strange that just a few years later, due to alluvial deposits, the place where Quach's mother's grave was located was not only not submerged by water, but a lush strawberry field also formed around the grave. This event later made Quach Phac's name famous. Many people from faraway places also traveled to find Quach to see his grave. At that time, Emperor Tianguin was also a fan of Feng Shui. He heard that Quach Phac had a special talent for finding especially effective grave sites, so Emperor Tianguin immediately went to see the graves that Quach Phac had chosen. Once, on a mountainside, Emperor Tianguin met a farmer who was digging a grave in a piece of land with a very beautiful terrain. At that time, it was called Long Jiak. So he went to the farmer's place and asked, "Why do you found this piece of land to place a grave?" The farmer replied, "This is what Mr. Quach Phac showed me. He said, if I were buried here, in less than 3 years I would be able to meet the Son of Heaven." Emperor Tianguin thought this farmer was bold, so he asked, "Are you planning to bury him here so that a Son of Heaven will be born in your house?" The farmer smiled and said, "It's not that my family gave birth to a Son of Heaven, but maybe the Son of Heaven will come here." So it's clear, Emperor Tianguin himself is the Son of Heaven and he is standing right in front of the farmer. Thinking so, Emperor Tianguin greatly admired Quach Phac and decided to meet this Feng Shui master named Quach to ask him to find a tomb for him so that his imperial position could be passed down for generations. Whether or not Quach Phac found a place to place the tomb as Emperor Tianguin wished or not is not recorded in any history books. However, history books also record a story about Quach Phac finding a grave for an official named Truong, named Du. In the book Southern History, the story of Truong Du tells that when his great-grandfather Truong Du passed away, people invited Quach Phac to check Feng Shui and choose a place for the grave. Quach Phac searched for a while and found 2 good locations for Truong Du to choose from and said, "If you are buried in the first grave, you can live to be 100 years old, and become an official up to the 3rd position, i.e. the position of Great Tu. Ma, Tu Du, Tu Kong, top officials in the feudal court of the Han Dynasty, but their descendants did not prosper. If he is buried in the 2nd position, his life expectancy will be reduced by half, his position will also be lower, but his descendants will be very prosperous, wealthy and wealthy." After hearing this, Truong Du did not need to think and chose the 2nd grave because he thought that it was still the most important thing for his children and grandchildren to be rich and wealthy. What happened next happened exactly as Quach Phac said. Truong Du died when he was just over 40 years old, but Truong Du's descendants became very high-ranking mandarins and were extremely wealthy. Another story says that at that time in Duong Chao there was an official named Ko Kao. Ca's sister has been sick for more than 40 years and still lies in bed unable to recover. When he heard Quach's voice, Ca came to ask Quach to draw him a hexagram to see why his sister's illness had not been cured for so long. Quach agreed to draw a hexagram for Ca. After drawing the hexagram, Quach said, "The Ko family's ancestors once killed a magical snake, so the ancestors' graves were not peaceful, causing illness in their descendants." Ca later went back to look up his family tree and found out that such a thing had indeed happened. After that, Ca quickly made an atonement ceremony with the snake spirit, and her sister's illness was immediately cured, and also many defects. Quach Phac is a talented Feng Shui master, however, he also has many shortcomings. The book Shu Then Khai records a story about Guo that, when Guo was still not famous, there was a time when he worked for the governor of Luojiang, Ho Man Kang. During this time, Quach Phac set his sights on a maid in the Ho family's palace. However, because he was not in a position at that time and had no money, he did not know how to marry the person he loved. Finally, Quach Phac came up with a plan. That night, Guo used red beans to sprinkle around the Ho family's house. Early the next morning, Ho Man Kang woke up late and suddenly discovered that there were thousands of people wearing red shirts surrounding the house. When I ran closer to see, those people had completely disappeared. Just like that, repeated for many days, Ho Man Kang felt there was something unusual, so he told this matter to Quach Phac. Just waiting for that moment, Quach Phac said, "In your house, there is a female slave whose fate is incompatible with this house. Therefore, if you want to avoid such evil, the only way is to sell this slave 20 miles away from home. The price must be cheap so that evil can be turned into good." Ho Man Kang believed that Quach Phac was telling the truth, so he quickly sold the slave girl. Quach Phac had arranged people in advance, standing there waiting to buy the slave girl at a cheap price. Not only did Ho Man Kang not know that Quach Phac was playing tricks on him, he was even very grateful to Quach Phac, spreading the word that Quach Phac was a skilled Feng Shui master everywhere. However, people often say that if you walk at night, you will still encounter ghosts. Quach Phac finally met with trouble because of his beauty. Quach has a close friend named Hon Di. Because it was a close friend's place, Hon Di often entered Quach's house without making a sound. Every time Hon Di opened the door to Quach Phac's house, he would see Quach playing with his lover. To limit those ironic situations, Quach Phac told Hon Di, "Every time you come, you can go straight into my house, no need to show any respect. However, absolutely do not go into the bathroom to look for me, otherwise we will face a disaster." Hon Di listened and left it there, not paying attention to what Quach Phac said. One day, after getting drunk, Hon Di went to Quach Phac's house. When he entered the house, he couldn't find Quach Phac. Hon Di went straight to the bathroom to look for him. "I only saw in the bathroom, Quach Phac was shirtless, his hair was loose, he had a sacrificial knife in his mouth, not sure if he was practicing or performing magic." Quach Phac looked at teacher Hon Di in dismay and said, "We're both going to die." Indeed, a short time later, Von Doi was about to plot a rebellion before ordering Quach Phac to see if the plot was successful. Quach Phac picked the hexagram and said it was not good. Von Doi was angry, thinking that the matter had not yet begun, but Quach Phac was causing bad luck, so he angrily ordered Quach Phac to be killed.